Welcome to TreasureTress Airport. To celebrate our 5th birthday, we have curated some bespoke in-flight entertainment for you to enjoy on your journey. Once you've boarded, please ensure that your tray tables are stowed away, your seatbelts are fastened, and your windows are open. Once we're at a safe altitude, please feel free to put your headphones in, recline your seats, and enjoy. We've got some amazing ladies here with us today. We're going to be talking all about influencers, cancel culture, and outrage culture online. So first of all, I just want to go around and let everyone introduce themselves. So if you can say your name, what you do, if it's online or offline, and then also if you could only pack 3 things in your hand luggage, what would they be? So we'll start over here.
Oh no, I have to be the first one.
Yep.
Great. Hi, I'm Nicole Ochran. I am a fashion blogger. I also founded the Creator Union, which is one of the first influencer unions here in the UK. And what else do I do? I host a podcast as well. It's called Mixed Up. And I think that's it, introduction-wise. And the 3 things I would pack with me, oh my gosh, well, definitely curl cream. I need that in my life. Lip balm and mascara.
Hey everyone, my name is Jayanne Lopez and I'm the founder of Black Girl Gamers. I'm also the co-founder of Culture, both online platforms in 2 different realms in gaming and beauty. Yeah, that's it. In terms of hand luggage, I would bring shea butter because you can use it for your skin and your hair. I would use sunscreen. I bring a bottle of sunscreen for my face, specifically. And then I'd bring a spray bottle. Those 3 things.
I always forget a spray bottle, and it upsets me every single time I travel.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Fair. I respect those answers highly.
Clever. Oh goodness. Hi, my name is Esther. I am a lifestyle, travel, and fashion blogger, or content creator, I'd like to say. And if I were to go and pack, well, you said sunscreen, but are you going somewhere hot?
Oh,
it's
I'm
true,
only going somewhere hot.
Okay. Makes sense.
Wherever you feel like you're out.
We're just going out. Okay. I would pack, oh God, my camera, spare battery, and my passport.
Oh yeah.
Because where are you going?
We're not going anywhere.
Staying in the UK.
Hi everyone, I'm Christina Okorocha. I'm a co-founder of Vamp, and yeah, that's it about me. In my suitcase, I'd probably bring vitamin E oil, a spare wig, and then lip gloss.
Spare wig. I respect it. I feel like lip gloss was,
Lip gloss, you definitely missed out.
I was thinking about these answers before. I've had like 3 days to think about these answers, and I was genuinely like, firstly, no one said toothbrush, so.
You can buy it when you get there.
Yeah,
girl. You can buy sunscreen when you get there too. You can buy underwear when you get there. You need the passport. And your phone.
And your phone, exactly.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about it for a while and I couldn't figure out an answer, so I decided to just hand it out. It's up to you guys now. So today we're going to be speaking about, as I said, cancel culture and outrage culture online. I thought, to me, they're 2 different things, but I don't know what your experiences are of both of them. So kind of whichever side that you sit on, do you feel like cancel culture has gone too far?
I think cancel culture gets a bad name. I think cancel culture has always been around. It's just new in social media terms. So I always, because a lot of what I do is centered around Black women, I think about cancel culture in the past when there was a wide systemic thing where Black women couldn't get jobs. That's cancel culture in its own way. There's a narrative spun about Black women in the media. That's cancel culture in its own way. So I think we've always had cancel culture. And I think it's become a problem now because people of color, non-white people, how marginalized people are starting to use their voices more with social media to voice what they're not happy about. So I think I don't mind canceling people. There's certain people I don't give my energy to in general anyway, because I'm very specific about who I give my energy to. However, I don't think cancel culture is necessarily what everyone tries to make it out to be. I think there is an outrage culture that people and brands try to use to market things, But I think cancel culture is not necessarily bad. I'm always one for people taking their attention in their own hands and giving it to where they think it deserves to be. So that's my take on the two terms.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there's a real difference between actually being cancelled and being called out for, you know, your particular behavior or what you've said or what you've done in the past. And I think it's really important to know like the power dynamics at play. Like, I think it's difficult to cancel, you know, certain public figures, certain celebrities, or, you know, even brands. It's hard for them because you're always punching up, so you can't, there's no way to kind of topple that kind of systemic like the systemic nature of what they've built. But yeah, I think in general, for me, outrage culture and cancel culture are definitely two different things. Outrage online and is super, super loud, and cancel culture has yet to actually, I think, cancel someone completely or cancel a brand completely, for example. So yeah.
I mean, sorry. Your last point, I agree with what both of you said, but your last point, as of late, I can only think about Wiley, and it really breaks my heart to think he is literally like off the radar now because of his statements. I believe that everyone's entitled to their opinion, whether or not you say it privately or publicly. However, I do, in Wiley's case, I wholeheartedly believe that it's because he's black, and it's his tone, and it's perhaps his background and some of the things he may have said in the past, and he may have crossed the wrong people in the past. So that was like the chance for anybody who didn't like him to be like, yeah, this is it now, we've got to do it now, cancel him, get his stuff off YouTube, don't play stuff on the radio anymore. And it's a bit much because there are people in high places who have said really awful things. They haven't been cancelled. Is it because they are not black, or is it because they have privilege? So that's one instance that always stands out to me, and that I believe is really unfair, because if you think about his contribution to UK music, he's done a lot. So that means that we need to completely shun him because of his statements. There are some things that I think he may have said, especially in like the news interview, that he perhaps wasn't able to articulate himself in the best way. But again, I feel like that was too far.
Christina, from like a professional standpoint, coming from an agency and a talent management agency, I suppose, as well, what do you think about cancel culture?
I think personally, I'm a believer in like mass information. I'm a believer in sharing information, knowledge, Google, everyone knowing things around the world. So I believe people should always bring awareness to things that, you know, either is a problem to them or they want more people to know about. However, I think there's a thin line between cancel culture and bullying, because I think there's this mob mentality that happens online, especially there's a lot of influencers. You guys probably know about this. Like influencers, you guys have a lot of support. However, there's a lot of people who actually don't like you also. So when there becomes an issue, the people who don't like you are the loudest. And the people who try and support you, they want to support you, but it's just hard because obviously it's an issue online. But I think that bullying thing online, I just can't stand it at all. I think everyone's allowed to make mistakes. There's so many celebrities. Every single celebrity, you know, that's probably your fave, has done a madness back in the day. Yes. Absolute madness. And we still forgive them today.
Where do you guys, this is for everyone, where do you guys feel like the line crosses between what you're saying, like the cancel culture, and then the just bullying online?
I think for me, it's just my personal opinion. Again, I think everyone has to take accountability of their own attention and where their own support goes. So there's influencers. I just remember the whole thing with when it happened to Maya Jama, and she was talking, there was like an anti-black woman thing. For me personally, I never really paid attention to her, but like that, or supported her in any way for me to then go and counsel her. But I think when it becomes a place where you're not allowed to forget, someone's not allowed to unlearn the anti-blackness, you don't give them the permission to have the same like opportunity for change that everyone else has had. I think that's where it becomes bullying culture. And I think that's the problem. I've had people bully me because of BGG, and I still do it to this day. I don't really care because I'm gonna do what I do. But at the same time, imagine if I wasn't that way minded.
Exactly, and that's what I was going to say. Yeah. You're quite strong as a person, but there's so many influencers out there
who are not
as strong.
I think people think they are, because I think because people are online and they're showing however much of their life. I feel like that's exactly it. I think people think that people are a lot stronger or a lot more confident or whatever it may be, and you can maybe take that.
And I think until you're on the receiving end of thousands upon thousands of messages and emails and other things, like no one can actually feel what a pylon feels like unless they're actually experiencing it.
That brings me on to my next question quite nicely. In terms of, obviously, I feel like where we've been speaking at the moment, there seems to be two different types of cancelling anyway. Like there's cancelling of individuals and there's cancelling of brands and companies and things, which I think are two very different things anyway. I was going to say, I think in terms of cancelling brands and calling out brands, I know you guys have done that in the past, going back years, I think actually. Are there lines you won't cross? And are you thinking about the other side of it? Like, are you thinking about whoever's on the receiving end of it?
Yes and no. I know brands are made of people, but at the same time, people need to be held accountable. So when it comes to either gaming or beauty, and I see something I don't like, I'm not going to say, shout at them or stuff like that, but I will verbalize it or write it in a way where it's strong and it's something that you should be paying attention to. So there is brands like that I work with as well, but brands like Twitch, when they make a misstep, I'm the first one to tell you, because at the end of the day, if no one's going to tell you in a way behind the closed doors and in front of your face, that's how I work. So if I have an issue with you, I will tell you in a meeting when there's a possibility of me losing money, but I'll also tell you on the social media as well. So if you want to work with me, actually have the brand's best intentions at heart, but you're doing something wrong. And I think that's how I've been able to build what I've built thus far as well, because they recognize I'm not trying to be harsh, I'm not trying to be mean, I'm actually showing you're leaving out a demographic where you should actually have our voices in the room. And because we're not in the room, we're now on social media. So that's where I think that's how I work with brands for that kind of thing. Some brands I won't ever work with because I just don't believe in the way they work. But with ones where I see there are people trying, or they're trying in certain ways and they're just making a misstep, I will try and do in front of and behind the scenes.
That makes sense, Nicole.
Yeah, 100%. Same with me. I think I've always, tried to have that conversation, I guess, privately or one-to-one first. Again, on social, if I know them, if I can email them, I will contact them in that way. And then again, I've never felt like, none of it feels like confrontation, I think, is the thing, but you're so aware of how your words are then going to impact, whoever is behind that email or whoever is on social that day. But I've always tried to just try and reach out one-to-one first, and then take it to social when needs be. Again, back in June, that was the moment where I think a lot of us were just like, enough is enough. You're clearly not listening, and they're still not. But I think it will take another round of that for them to maybe hear.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then Christina, from an agency point of view, have you ever worked with any brands that have been called out? Actually, firstly.
Oh, that's a good question.
You don't have to drop names.
Yeah, probably, most likely. But I think we've also called out brands a lot also. Like we email brands like smack all the time. We talk about it all the time. Like even I don't even want to name drop, but like a big broadcaster had an issue, and we emailed them a long email, and I even screenshotted tweets from Twitter and I sent it to them as well, and sent it to all their heads, just so they knew what was going on. Because I think I'm a big believer in calling people out and then like helping them change. Because I think you should go in and see what the issues are and the cracks and try and help them. If they're not willing to learn, then you can really cancel them because you know they're not trying.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
And then when you're working with talent, obviously you guys are an agency as well as a talent management company as well. When you're working with creators from an agency perspective on campaigns, is it ever in the back of your mind, or are you ever wary about working with certain people because maybe they've called out people before, or they've said certain things, or they've been very vocal online?
Well, as in the influencer being vocal, or the
influencer. So getting people onto your campaigns. You ever?
No, but you know what? I have this big issue. I think in America, influencers are allowed to be who they want to be, and in the UK, they're not. So I have this big issue with that. So I'm just like, I don't like the way brands that want to work with the everyday black girl that typically ratchet or whatever, but they're not. They're just being themselves. And in America, they're proper allowed to be themselves. In the UK, we have to be so prim and proper. So we always pitch girls that, you know, are different, because everyone should be different. I don't know why everyone's always trying to be the same in the UK. It's really boring.
That's how the UK operates, though, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
I think you see campaigns like that all the time, where it's
All
like
the
you've used
time.
5 of the same people.
Constantly.
Five of the
They probably all have the same
talking to
audience.
themselves, talking to each other.
Yeah.
Their audiences are all talking to each other. It just doesn't make sense to me ever.
But that's also fertile, like planting ground for our ideas and our opportunities, and even just like working together. I feel like that's a good way to like help me in situations for BGG. And I think that's where you show them, you know, if you're not going to listen because we're not in the room, then we'll create something else different that's different.
Yeah, 100%. When you're, sorry Christine, going back to you, when you're pitching these maybe like troublesome or like alternative or whatever people to the, I don't want to say troublesome, but this is me.
Not the traditional.
Exactly. People that maybe are like the brands wouldn't think of offhead or maybe have avoided in the past. Are you getting a lot of kickback because of that?
Yeah, I think the brands would probably be like, oh, this person doesn't suit our look, or this person doesn't But then I'll just be like, look at their engagement though. They have a loyal following. They're in beauty. People look at them for their beauty things. And you just, because my thing is just send them evidence of things. Like you can say someone doesn't look like a certain way or you don't fit it, but if they're going to sell the products, which is what your job is, then why are you going to say no? Yeah, and you just got to be honest with brands when they do things like that. You just got to tell them, and if they push back, you just move on, because I haven't got time to be trying to persuade people to work with Black content creators anymore. Like they should be doing it.
It shouldn't even be an issue anymore.
100%.
Honestly. Going back to a point that Nicole made earlier about kind of like being on the receiving end of the counselling or of the hatred or whatever it may be, have you guys been subject to that? And how has it felt? What's happened?
There has been people, specifically in gaming, because gaming is a whole different world of engagement and the way people behave and the entitlement and the instantaneous gratification that people want. There are people who, because gaming is like 5 years behind in terms of diversity and inclusion, when they see Black girl gamers, immediately they've got a chip on their shoulder about our platform with an angry Black female kind of thing. And we don't like, there's someone who, I'll just give you one example, a person who was problematic and had anti-Black statements and kind of sees Trump's ideals, that kind of stuff. And it just has had a hate campaign for BGG, even though we've never done nothing to her like directly. Maybe people have said something to her that they shouldn't agree with, but that's not the whole community. And so it's just like dealing with people like that first, soft block, then full block. And again, it's the mentality that I have because I know I'm doing something right, and it's just the gratitude that I get from other Black women in the space that I create. It kind of drowns that out, but it does. I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that it doesn't annoy me, because it really does. Because it's like, at the end of the day, if you don't like what I do, then go about your business. The same like how I am. If I don't like what you do, I'm not giving you my attention, and that's it. But a lot of people just thrive off negativity, and that's what you find, and what I just find by working in social media and digital media is that a lot of people are just genuinely unhappy with themselves. And I'm not saying I'm the happiest person ever. Everyone has mental health balances and stuff like that, but they take that online, they take that to your brand, and they extrapolate what you say and they manipulate it. So you just have to either go for your objective or give your attention to them. And I choose my objective all the time.
Let's start.
Boy, God, it's really difficult to talk about publicly because I'm the kind of person that, like, you could say, I've been on like social media for long enough now, and be it YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, I've had my fair share of like bad comments, nasty comments, people saying really horrible things in my like DMs or whatnot. But as you mentioned, when it's like a flood of people daily, most recently, I'll give an example. When NSARS kind of kicked off and it went viral on social media, and I had my own people, and I say my own people because I had Nigerians, Black people from the diaspora and back home telling me I'm a shit person because I didn't do something that they thought was adequate enough to spread awareness of NSARS. So my question constantly was, okay, what do you want me to do? And I felt like me having to ask, what makes you happy? What do you want me to do? Despite the fact that I've donated money, I've retweeted stuff, I've tweeted stuff, I've been in contact with people that were on ground at protests, but because they didn't see a post from me, everything else was like void. And that, like, I was even on a work trip and I was basically down the whole time. It was funny because I was editing the vlog the past couple of days, and this morning I was like, hold on a minute, I was really sad these whole days, and you would not even be able to tell. So I basically had a mental breakdown. I had a really bad breakdown, but I had to keep working. I had to keep being on social media and doing my job, essentially. But I do think when people are sending out these attacks, they don't realize that you're attacking a human being, you know, and because they're not doing what you think is adequate enough, that doesn't mean they're not doing anything at all. You know, I'm not the kind of person I don't publicly call out brands and I don't publicly call people out. I would rather send you a DM and be like, yo, I think this is out of order. Like, you need to rethink your ideals, or you need to maybe take this post down. Personally, I'm just reaching out to you because, you know, it's a bit suspect. But I wouldn't do a whole rant. I wouldn't do a whole rant on my stories. I'm just not that kind of person. And I had to make people see that everybody's different. And people might be coming from a place of trauma. I left Nigeria because we had armed robbers swarm our house. So me seeing footage of people getting shot on the streets, stabbed, it does something to my mental, but I don't need to sit there and do a whole YouTube video on that. I can just tell you that it's triggering for me. So what I need to do in order to support or raise awareness, I have done. But that doesn't mean you need to come for me. It was like daily. And I would open my Twitter and I'd literally be like, whoa, like, is this real? I would literally look at my boyfriend and be like, babe, like, seriously, me, I'm confused. Like, I'm so confused. And there was even one morning that made me so sad. I woke up and the first thing I thought was, oh, I just woke up to all this BS again. And I've never ever thought that in my life. It almost took me to a place where I've never been before. I didn't want to wake up because I didn't want to wake up to that BS. So I think people need to remember that it's human beings behind these profiles, and they might post all these great things, these things that look great, but don't forget that once they lock their phone and they put it down, they still have a life to live. They still have children or family or work, or, you know, they still have to go back to normal life, being a normal person.
Exactly.
So sorry that took too long.
No.
Thanks for sharing. Honestly, thank you for sharing that. I think it kind of draws me back to around the kind of beginning of the Black Lives Matter movement this time around. I was seeing a lot of Black people getting called out for not saying anything. Like, it was crazy to me, because I know for myself at the time, I was working in talent management. I was managing predominantly Black influencers. I was having to deal with my own emotions about it. I was having to deal with all my talent's emotions about it. I was also having to deal with my company asking me everything because I was one of the only Black people in the team. And I felt it was weird. I felt guilty coming off of social media because I was like, I feel bad for not being involved in this, but at the same time, mentally, I can't be on social media anymore. And obviously, working in social media, that's a tricky one. But like, when I was on social media, I was seeing so many Black content creators or mixed race content creators or whoever who were getting called out for not saying anything about this topic. And I think it kind of goes back to what you were saying, like, you as a Nigerian content creator was getting called out for not saying something about something that was going on in Nigeria. Whereas actually there was a whole lot of people that were quiet. Surely they should have been saying more, you know? But I think
sorry, just to jump in there, I just think this whole pestering people to do things the way you want to do it is an issue in life in general. I think you wouldn't do that to someone in real life, so why are you doing that to someone online? It's just not, exactly, it's not, even the whole, obviously I'm a Beyonce fan, just let me say it now. So, like, when people were kind of jumping onto Beyonce to say what she had to say, and I think it was right, Beyonce should have made a statement, but I think her having to put a statement in reaction to what people are telling her. I don't know, is that genuine?
That's the wrong reaction. That's not
it's like, what good is that now, really? You don't really need that.
Again, it goes back to her saying something because she was forced to. And that was the same position I was in. It got to a point where I was then only doing things because I was being forced to. And it took away from all the other things that I actually really thought was important.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
But it's the same, like asking, any one of us to say anything about Black Lives Matter. Of course, we know that.
Yeah.
As Black women, we know that.
And some people like that day to day.
That's just us.
Yeah.
Why do we need to say anything about that? It's just.
And we all come from different backgrounds. Like our experiences are all different.
Exactly.
Yeah, like it's completely different. We all grew up in different places, like different households. It's very, very different. So I think at that point, everybody was expecting every Black person to be saying the same thing at the same time, on the same platform, retweeting the same hashtags.
Fire festival vibe. Just
I think it's quite triggering.
It was that.
I think even the NSARS movement was so triggering for me. It was very, very triggering for me. I had to put my phone away. So I couldn't imagine having to be like a social media influencer and people forcing you to look at these videos.
I couldn't believe it. I was like,
send you triggering stuff as well as just beyond.
You get cussed out if you do.
And even got to the point where I was like, I don't want to be sharing these videos of people being shot down. Like, why am I sharing videos of like my people being gunned down? No, I don't want to be sharing that anymore. So
that leads me on to a question that I didn't actually write down, but I've just thought of. Boundaries. Like, how do you set boundaries online? Like, what do you do? What I suppose personally and like on the platform as well. Like, I know like
block Instagram, block Facebook, block.
I know I've seen some content creators. I don't think any of you guys did, to the best of my knowledge, but like put stuff like don't send me DMs, like only send me emails, or I'm not gonna look at my DMs with you this time, or I'm gonna be offline for whatever. But do you guys put boundaries in place?
To be honest with you,
It's not a bad idea.
It can be a lot because people, when you run a platform, like I run a community platform, which is what I love to do, but like it then turns into, what you were saying, Esther, is like if you're not doing this, or if you're not helping me, then you're not helping anyone. Or if I come to you this with an initiative and you can't help me or help me move forward, then you're not really who you say you are, and you're not here for the community. You're not actually running the Black Girl Gamers community. First of all, I ain't got time for your shenanigans. And I think people get it because I tweet the way I am. Yeah. So my brand is very authentic to me. So if racists come in my DMs, I'm like, oh, you had a bad day, did you boo-boo, go home? So I don't cuss them out, which I would really do. But I can do it in a way you can sense my tone. So if people come in, hey, how are you? Like, don't just come to me, can you retweet this or can you repost this? Because you immediately, I will be like, so you forget there's a human behind this account? Yeah. What do you think I am? So I think for me, I let that authenticity come through, because if I don't, that's when people try to take the mick. And because I am like that, it makes it easier for me to manage the platform. But I 100% will start thinking about just sending me an email, but then my email is just going to get blocked up with things, and that's just going to be a problem.
Block Instagram, block Facebook, block. No, seriously, I'm literally at the point now where you send me a dumb message, you do like Oloribuku, I block you. You give me attitude, I block you. Nobody is above blocking. I honestly don't have the energy anymore. I think there's just too much going on. Like trying to be an adult and trying to manage your business and everything, or like I just don't have the strength. So, but I see all my DMs. I go through all my DMs, and obviously I respond where I feel like it's relevant, or it makes sense, or I can be of help. But I'm only one human. Like I can't go through all of that in a day and actively help you out, or help everybody in my DMs out. But yeah, hence why I had to be managed. It got to a point where I had to have management, because it's too much. Like trying to manage creating content, responding to emails, editing things that could take me a couple days to edit, go on trips for work. Like you just can't do it all. Yeah, and then to take the good with the bad that comes into your DMs or in your emails, it's too much to manage. So yeah, I think I'm accessible, but to a limit. You always have to separate. Even with my son, listen, like don't come into my room too early. You're gonna come in, don't turn on the light, make it really brief, or I'll talk to you like,
or you're gonna get blocked. Sorry, Coco, bye.
Yeah, like he does this thing now when he's going to school. He'll come into my room, turn on the light, bah, Mum, I'm going. Why? Why, Coco? You can just come in. Bye, mom. I'll see you later. He does the most.
Must make an entrance.
Honestly, open the door. Whoosh, lights on. Bye. Bye, Coco. See you later. But no, yeah.
So basically, Coco's going cancelled.
No, never. But no, you have to set, like, even with relationships with like your friends, your other half, there has to be boundaries, you know, and you have to have people in your life that understand when you just need some time to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
I need to learn
Yeah.
that. I'm the worst for that, for boundary setting. I think also just in general, I think I'm too soft of a person, and then people can see that from my profile and just run riot in my DMs all the time. So yeah, this whole year has been a learning for me in terms of setting boundaries.
I think the whole year has been learning. For
Yeah,
everyone.
exactly. Boundary setting in particular there's been something that I've been trying to learn to do. It's so hard for me because I'm always trying to be, you know, like you said, accessible to a point, and that's again why. So I got management, and you know, I got all these other things like now put in place, but it's been hard.
Sound very Pisces-like.
Oh no, I'm a Taurus. Yeah,
Very soft.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know how I'm a soft Taurus. I am still very stubborn, but still soft. Don't know why.
I feel like knowing you, Nicole, you're a good mix of the both, like the two.
Yeah,
I think.
the two. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah, I
good.
feel like, Nicole can throw it down if she needs to. Just know.
I'm glad. Good. I'm glad that comes across, at least to you. So that's good.
I want to go back to, so obviously we kind of spoke about cancel culture, and as we said, we very much see, I think collectively we see cancel and outrage culture as two different things, right? Yeah. Maybe let's firstly start off with just saying what we see the two things as, but I kind of want to go more into outrage culture because I think from what you guys were saying, that's the more like troublesome aspect of the two. Just quickly, I read a book by Dottie Charles, who's Radio 1 DJ, called Outraged, and it's basically talking about outrage as a commodity and basically saying that it's now an overused commodity and all of that kind of stuff, like specifically because online anyone can be outraged at any time. There's no limit to anyone's outrage, and you can access basically anyone in some capacity. So yeah, just want to talk about one, what you see the difference what the differences are between cancel and outrage to you, and then just kind of touching on what if you think outrage is a good or bad thing, and what it is.
I think it's a case-by-case basis. I think it depends on context. I think outrage sometimes needs to happen, specifically Black outrage. We're told not to be angry about a lot of things that I think hold us back. I think anger is a very valid emotion when used correctly. Yes. And there's things that we validly should be angry about and we're not. So I think it really depends on the context. But then brands, again, know this. They'll write a headline or a clickbait headline to a piece of an article, which we will then get angry about. So I think it's a case-by-case basis. I think, you know, sometimes it works. Like, you know, the stuff with R. Kelly, outrage and cancel culture.
Yeah, I was going to say he's the only person that's actually been cancelled.
Yeah, he was.
But so I think, again, it's a case-by-case basis. And I think, but again, because people aren't thinking on a case-by-case basis, they won't read the whole article. They'll just retweet and then just, you know, jump on the bandwagon, maybe to make themselves feel good or themselves a part of the community. Then, but I always say sometimes it's valid and sometimes it's justified, and I'm not going to hold you, like, if you're angry about something, go be angry. I'm very, very enamored about Black people being angry because we haven't been for a very long time.
Yeah, and I think I would say on that, I think it's very important to channel your anger and your rage to like the right point. I think it's important to have advisors in your life. So when you feel a type of way, talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to your people, and then make a decision to go online. I don't ever think going online is the first thing you should ever do.
I think it seems to be a lot for a lot of people, and you can tell there's been no steps between that initial seeing whatever it was.
Exactly. Even writing in your notes or writing in your journal, I think everyone should have a journal before you do that, because you should never react on that initial emotion. But in general, I believe you should be like calling things out in general, but I just think it's important that you think about it first, because you don't want it to come back. Research
is key. Research is definitely key.
I think the thing with outrage as well, especially online, is that everybody wants everything to be a meme. Everybody wants to be retweeted. Everybody wants to be kind of clever and funny in all of these different ways. So I think that adds to the commodification of it. Like it adds to like, we then, it's like for example, like all the stuff with Adele, whether or not you agree with whether she should be wearing Bantu knots or not, like it then turned into this whole funny thing, and then it was just, I feel like it creates this world in which, again, like, you know, brands or, you know, media want to then jump on this bandwagon of oh, the blacks are mad about this thing, like let's get in there and like start talking about things. Like, yeah. And you're just like,
it's true.
You're just like, what is going on? But yeah, I think that adds to it. It fuels the fire, I guess you could say.
Yeah, Esther, what are your thoughts on it?
I do agree with you, like when you guys say sometimes people need to be called out. I definitely agree. I just think it needs to be effective. So again, the first thing you shouldn't do is just go to social media and like have this big old rant, because then after you do that, what happens? You know, have you been in touch with the brand directly? Have you been in touch with somebody? Like it needs to be effective what you're doing. There's no point having this like big old thread and everybody retweets it and it stops there. Because then again, it's a waste of your time and it doesn't get anything done. So if nothing changes after that big rant, then it doesn't get anything done, you know.
It depends for me. No, I don't want to interrupt you, guys.
No, yeah. So like I've had instances where we've had to stop working with a brand because they just weren't recognizing my worth, and this was after a long time of working with them. And ever since then, I always think I really need to call you lot out, but I haven't, because it takes me, even when I have like disagreements with friends or family, it takes me a while. I need to go away. I need to really think about it. I might need to ask somebody else's opinion. I might need to I need to digest every single thing that we've discussed and things that
because you're the one that has to deal with the aftermath.
Yeah, because I have to deal with, and if I don't get it across to you how I feel is perfect enough for you to perhaps understand or want to have a follow-up conversation, then I feel like it's pointless. So my first thing to do is not to go to Twitter or not to go to Instagram. I would rather go to that person directly. So again, with that brand, I'm still thinking I need to they need to be called out, whether or not I do it on social media, which I feel like is the best place now, because we've had conversations. Yeah, we've had months and years of conversation. And they're still not getting to that point where you realize, then we're going to social media. So yeah, I feel like it needs to be effective, and if unless you're going to continue the fight, if it's not an effective movement, then you might just
that's what it is.
because the energy needs to be there. Like with NSARS, for example, it's all simmered down on social media. So all those people that were in my DMs that were calling me out, that were telling me XYZ, you're not retweeting no more. So sis, we're all carrying our bags and we're all going at the end of the day, because everybody's quiet now. So yeah, that's just like my take on it. It needs to be consistent.
I agree. I think for me, the point where I kind of disagreed at the point was like, if it's just a tweet and you've just thrown out a thread and it gets blah blah, then nothing happens. The reason why I say that is because I know the rooms that my mouth and my name and my brand have been in without them actually contacting me and them starting to make change. But I would never know that if I didn't have my little spies. Do you see what I mean? So
that's the warning to brands. Jay has people every week.
So I wouldn't know that, but then it would, from the outside, seem a bit pointless of like just throwing out a spread of like calling out a rage. But again, I agree with what you're saying. Have the contingency plan or solution plan, or being open to work with a brand if they are being problematic, because at the end of the day, they're in a place where they're visible. That's why you're cussing them, because they're visible. So you obviously want to make change to a visible point. So that's for me how I would approach it. But 100%, I'm the first person to feel the anger, research first, and then go off with that same anger online. Because some brands need that. They need that vim. They need that called out, because I feel like we do coast a lot in like platitudes and all niceties. No, you're doing wrong, and you need to know. And I think that's what brought my brand so far as well, because a lot of people resonated with the fact that I didn't kind of skim the edges or decorate what I said. I called it out. You're misogynistic, you're racist, you're sexist, and this is what it is. And I think, again, having that contingency plan and having the action and also knowing where your name goes is very, very key when you do those kind of things.
Yeah, I think following on from your point about you say things but you don't actually know who's listening, like you have no idea who's listening and who's actioning on it, and I think 100%. And I think coming from kind of an agency background, and Christina, I'm sure you can account for this as well, there's a lot of tweets and Instagram posts and all of that are all discussed there, but you maybe have never spoken to that person that's on the other side of it. So sometimes it's true, like you could put out that thing, maybe you don't think anyone's seen it, but you never know.
Yeah, we have a screenshot and send it to brands.
Oh, screenshot. Yep. Screenshot it.
And brands should do that for your ideas as well. Hey, teeth in them.
Yeah.
Be careful what you tweet out as well.
No, 100%. Going back to like what you guys were talking about, the effectiveness of the call out, the outrage, whatever it may be, kind of directing it to you guys, Nicole and Jay, when you are calling out brands, what are your thoughts behind it? Like what's the steps that you take, and what do you have an end goal in sight, or are you putting it out there and just hoping that something happens?
So funny, because there's a brand that I love, a hair brand that I love, that I've called out before because they had no dark-skinned women or no tight curly-haired women on the page, and now we're working with them. But the point is,
but that's not a bad thing.
But it's not a bad thing. No, that's what I think. But it's the thing that I had the gall to do that again. It's showing that you're vocal about it, but you're not just vocal. You want to help and you want to do them kind of things. So, sorry, what was the question?
I was saying kind of the steps you take when you're calling out what's the end goal of that.
So it's just knowing what you're actually saying, like knowing what the actual problem is, not extrapolating into other things and then being like, and in 1962, if you see a problem, that's the problem. The problem is you don't have dark-skinned women in your campaign and you're a natural hair brand, or you don't have kinky-haired women in your campaign, you're a natural hair brand. Check the other campaigns. I remember the whole H&M thing that happened recently, and I didn't call them out. And the reason why I didn't call them out, because people didn't know the overall brief. They saw the one image of the young black girl with the messy hair, not knowing that all the kids in there are supposed to have messy hair. And then it became, because as specifically come from a Caribbean background, a lot of black people have this kind of Sunday best. Black kids have to be presented a certain way all the time. So I challenge that, because that's something that we need to cancel. We don't always have to look our best for black people. We don't always have to be the kids that, if they're messy at school, they're messy at school.
No,
that's
they are messy.
So that's something there, like, again, it's that research first, knowing what you're saying, and then taking your stance. And if you want to, you can frame it in a way where you can change your mind as well. I don't feel like you have to be wrong and strong. You can be like, you know what? I hear what you're saying. Edit at the end of the post, or a retweet, or at the end of the thread. I really take your opinion. Cool. It's okay to change your mind. It's not like a bad thing.
But not many people do that.
No.
People they will die on that hill. Like they will stay there, and that's it. Whether or not it's like.
I think that's the difference between kind of what you guys are saying when you're calling out. You're ready for the conversation. Like there's two very different things. It's calling out because you want change and you want the conversation,
exactly.
And then there's calling out because you want to be the number one tweet and you want to be the meme or whatever. I feel like that's
I've always find it problematic when there isn't a conversation. Like when brands come back to me and they say, "Oh, thank you for that. I'm going to take this to so and so." And then I just never hear from them again. And then that's the end of it. And you're just like, okay, well, I guess that's it until the next misstep you make, or, you know, whatever you're doing. That's what I find the most frustrating, is when they don't want to talk about it. Or when, again, same with, you know, with retweets or whatever, when the brand is just like, when they just reply to you and they're just like, "Oh, thank you for this. We're taking this on board," or whatever it is. And you're just like, okay, that's clearly done then, and we'll never hear from you again.
I think my problem with it again is just that our experiences that we use to call out brands are unique to us. We know things instinctively because of our experiences as black women, and it annoys me when it gets turned into capital gain for brands when we're outraged. That's the one thing. That's why sometimes I hold back, because I know I'm going to say something that's going to benefit them in a campaign where they could be paying me a consultancy fee. That's one thing about outrage culture that I wish we're a bit more strategic about, or cancel culture, a bit more strategic about, because if you take your ideas, copyright them, take them to and see if you can pitch them, I think that's a win for you personally, and also a win for the brand in general, and also a win for the audience you're trying to influence. But there's also something that bugs me, because I see gaming brands do it all the time. and I've stopped doing it because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Christine, when you're bringing these issues to brands, like how open are they for change?
Oh, it all depends. I think it depends. A lot of the time, I don't know, because you always got to remember, like, businesses, multiple people working there. And I think everyone thinks that they're doing their part and doing stuff. So you can't really kind of send for that one person. You can only send for the brand. And no, it's quite hard. It depends how open they are to change. Like, and I guess, like, if it's a big, like, if it's a broadcasting company or if it's like a production studio, if you're bringing out black film or you're bringing out black content, but you're not targeting black people and you're not working with black influencers, then I'm just like, what's your marketing strategy? Yeah, exactly. Who are you employing? Because clearly they can't really do their job properly. I don't know. But
there's only 12% of marketeers are non-white, and that's not even that they're black, like just that they're non-white. Yeah, exactly. So I think it was like, if I might be misquoting this, but I think it was like 4% mixed race, 2% black, 6% Asian or something like that. But like there was like overall like 12% is just non-white people, and then there's a mad disparity between middle class and working class,
and also roles as well. There's quite a lot of people falling through on the junior roles, but
or interns,
making the real decisions and holding the kind of cash.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But I think then that's going back to what Jay was saying about like having that knowledge and making sure they're paying for that, and like, cool, you can come and bring me in as a consultant. Or
strategic.
Yeah, exactly. What's the biggest change you guys have seen, if you have called out a brand or you've been on the other side of that? Like, what's the biggest change you've seen from a brand? Jay's smiling, like she's like,
I know exactly, because it happened this year. So I went to San Diego for a Black History Month Twitch summit or something like that. That's not what it was. It was more of a feedback, get the feedback from the Black influencers on the platform. And for me, Black History Month, it was American Black History Month. So for me, that's about celebration. It's about celebrating the people who make the platform diverse and stuff. And that event was not that. I told them this to their face. I told them this in an email, and I went on Twitter, because one thing I don't want to do is be like, hey everyone, I'm in San Diego, Twitch, it's great. And I did not enjoy the event. So I laid it out in like a tweet thread, which goes back to what you're saying, has that action as well. I laid it out in a tweet thread and saying, I went to this, I know you guys want to hear the feedback. This is my feedback. Great initiative, was not planned out, felt last minute, did not feel celebrated, felt more like feedback. This is ideas you should be paying me for. And I told them to their face. They asked me a question. I was like, no, I don't feel comfortable giving my ideas to you. Next thing you know, I pitched Black Girl Gamers online summit in June, and it was the first major kind of 5-figure sponsored deal event that we've done. And that's because they were willing to open to the feedback.
What, to Twitch? You pitched it to Twitch?
Yeah, and it was like, it was because the person was an ally, or they were really championing Black Girl Gamers and they understood, and she wasn't egotistical. And that's lucky, because you don't always find someone like that in the brand. So that's the major big change that I saw, because they took the feedback on board in terms of the summit, and they sponsored my own to see how really it should be done. So that's the biggest change I could say I've impacted. And again, like I said, strategize, everyone wins. Because then I got to pay Black VAs, I got to pay Black people who work in the gaming industry to speak on these panels, that their rates were super low when I asked them how much you paid to speak. And I was like, no, you're getting triple that, because this is why we have to be strategic in what we do all the time. But that's the major change that I could think of.
Smashed it.
That's incredible. That's great.
Well done.
I have no good examples.
I'm sure you do.
I was like, I can't follow up that.
Yeah, no, we shouldn't let Jay go
I was like,
first.
I wish I could, but I can't. I'm not yet at that level. But I hope so. Hopefully one day.
I thought, well, what about the Creators Union?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
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 It's not about just you. Come on.
I mean, it was, again, so that was just something that, I guess being a Black woman in the space, in the influencer space, and knowing everything that I know on both sides, having worked industry side and also being a content creator, it was just something that I was just really tired of the ways in which influencers and content creators get taken advantage of. It was something I was speaking about with my co-founder Kat, again, she's a great ally as well, and it was just something that we were just so fed up of. And then again, it just so happened to be like we were talking about it right before June when the resurgence of Black Lives Matter, it kind of came to the forefront, and Black people were just being asked to do so many things, and I was getting so many emails from people asking me to speak, asking to send me stuff, telling me that they were brands I'd never spoken to before, just telling me that they were sorry, and I was just like, this is weird. I was like, I don't know what to do with all that. That's really, really strange. But also just getting DMs from Black content creators being like, I have never been paid by this brand before, and they're using my image in this campaign, or they're just so many stories of the ways in which not only Black influencers, but like LGBTQ plus influencers, disabled content creators are all being taken advantage of by brands and agencies alike. So that was why I was just like, well, I mean, we need to unionize then at this stage, because the ways in which people are just taking stuff from us constantly, or again, you're not being paid what you should be paid at all, if anything, is just I just had enough. So yeah, so that was why I started it, and I'm excited to get that like properly launched by hopefully was going to be December, but the way in which this year is working, it's not looking likely. So hopefully it's 2021.
That's amazing though. That's really, really good.
And I feel like people already know your name. Like I think I've heard it in a lot of circles being mentioned by. Obviously, I heard it. Honestly, I think it's definitely coming up. How about you guys? Any experiences? It's looking at me like side eye.
I'm like, I want to be like,
yeah, no, it's true.
you would know as much as me. To be honest, no. The way I'm at a stance where I'm like, I'm just trying to see whether or not it's a tokenism thing for now.
Yes.
So we will only be able to tell in perhaps a year's time, or like in the future, how these brands really feel.
Yeah, it's true. If you can just scroll through and you just see that black square, and that's about it.
Yeah.
What about the fact that you travel a lot? There's not many Black travel influencers at all.
Exactly.
Actually, there's not at all any Black travel influencers apart from you and like maybe a couple others. Do you feel like you've changed the way that a lot of tourist boards or like
I mean, I don't know. I think I'm so grateful for the few tourism authorities who have like taken a chance with me. And then in particular, like St. Lucia Tourism and the head of the UK PR, like she's a white lady, and she's always like, your stuff is amazing, and we need you to come back. And we've had repeat work with them. Like we've been there 3 times now with the tourism board. So yeah, but at the same time, I don't know if that's down to that with St. Lucia. Yeah, definitely. I feel like she champions like wholeheartedly. But at the same time, I don't know if it's down to me just being like, hey, like I want to come. You need to like, let's make this happen.
I think that's what we've had to do though. We've had to bang on doors and had to be like these influencers are good. You should take these influencers. But I think whether you have the content and you create like really good content, I think that's what travels. You know,
you can see that just from looking at your everything that you do. I don't know what is the question that they're trying to.
Feed me all this love.
It's true.
I'm
just like, what more do they need to see? I'm so confused.
But at the same time, I always say to people, like, whether you do travel or you do food or you do beauty, whatever you do, just do it to the best of your ability.
Yeah, but then you know what my thing is with that as well? I find that a lot of Black content creators produce such amazing, excellent work, and then they're like not just the white counterpart, but like as mediocre people, even not even just content. I believe that in marketing. I believe that there's so many mediocre people being given jobs and opportunities when there's literally other people who are creating like crazy content and not being given the opportunity. And I have just a big issue.
Even in the travel, like I feel that same way as well. Like I'll see people going on trips and I'm like, look at the vlogger. But you know, I always say, do whatever you do to the best of your ability, and eventually they can't ignore you.
Exactly.
They can't ignore you. You know? So it might take longer than others because they have the privilege, but and again, don't be afraid to ask. I feel like Black content creators, we're just always waiting for the email. It's like, why aren't you firing emails? Why aren't you DMing people?
100%.
Why aren't you researching? Like, I'm constantly researching places I want to go to next, and I'm constantly sending out emails. Tourism authorities. I go on LinkedIn and I look for people. I make up fake emails just to pray it goes through to them. I'm like, no, seriously, like, I want it that bad that I'm gonna do what I can do, and hope, like with St. Lucia, I said it in 2018, I was like, oh, I'd really love to like go to the Caribbean. That's one part of the world I haven't explored. And I just fired out emails to like all these countries in the Caribbean. And St. Lucia just so happened to like work. And my friends have been like, every time you say you want to do something, it always happens. And I'm like, do you think I just sit there and wait? I'm always like emailing because I'm trying to make it happen, you know, and you need to want it for yourself, but you need to, you need to want it hard.
And I think, you know, like when it comes to like panels, and this is why I'm really enjoying this one, because a lot of people say, yeah, it's, you know, do what you want to do, but they don't give the tangible action. You just gave tangible action. You go to LinkedIn, send the emails. I'm always sending pitch decks. Anything that's come from BGG is because of the brand I've created or the pitch deck I've sent. Like, that's really tangible advice, and I really love panels that do that. So yeah, thank you. That's great.
Thank you.
Good. Some advice for everyone. I just want to quickly circle back around to something that you said earlier, Jay, about calling out brands that you either work with or maybe want to work with in the future. How do you navigate that?
Similar to what she just said, head to the LinkedIn, find the person responsible if they're in marketing, if they're in creative influence, in influence in management, all that stuff. In the pitch deck, point out the problem that they had and point out some stats that obviously reflect the fact. So for instance, if you've got a gaming, I don't always use gaming, sorry, but if you've got a gaming company and they've got just white men in their audience, point out the fact that the top teens in America that play games are African American boys. Point out the fact that they're missing out how much of a market. Point out the fact that the Black girl gamers community is 7,000 women and half are in the US and half in the UK, kind of stuff. Like, point out the global markets they're missing, and then come with the idea so that they see the cha-ching in their head.
That's exactly
That's my way of doing things, because I think, and if I don't want to work with them, I'll still call them out, because you're a brand that you need to be called out regardless. I don't want to work with you. I'm not going to give you my energy. But when I do, it's about a deck or it's about an email. It's about having a call, finding out the person behind the brand. Can I build a relationship with that person? Can I genuinely work with them? Do I feel that connection? So for instance, the person who I work with at Twitch, lovely woman, I sent her a hamper after the Twitch thing because I want to maintain a relationship. She's a good person. She's a good person. And I think a lot of people forget the old school ways of working now that we've got social media, sending,
actually talking to people,
people, having the calls, using social media as you're in, but actually solidifying that relationship.
By taking it off social media. Yeah, definitely.
And, you know, just thanking people for advocating for you when they necessarily don't need to. So yeah, those are my ways of doing it, I think. Those tangible ways. Slide in the DMs if you need to, but you can always guess an email. If you know the company email, you can try and guess it.
Add the dot, take away the dot.
Underscore.
Listen. It will go through it somehow. It will shock you how it went through. Oh god.
How about you, Nicole? What was my question?
I don't remember your question.
Yeah, I know. I feel like Jay, thank you, Jay. Yeah, working with brands. So it's not only working with brands that you've maybe called out in the past or you want to call out, but maybe brands that you have worked with. How do you navigate calling them out if you have to? If you see them doing something problematic, how do you navigate that?
Yeah, I mean, it is tricky, and like I said before, I'm soft to a point, but like I think it's always again a matter of like Jay was saying, it's like coming with tangible action and telling and just really laying out what it is that, again, coming with examples of what I've seen, that was mostly the conversation I was having in June with a lot of fashion brands in particular, because that's normally, who I work with, and pointing out like, why do you think Black women don't wear clothes? Like, it just doesn't really, like, you know what I mean? It just like doesn't make sense, regardless of price point.
Why do you think we don't make clothes?
Yeah, it's like, regardless of price point, regardless of style, like all of those things. And of course, being a size 16 to 18, that then the conversation always then kind of turns into, size inclusivity as well, which is a whole nother topic. But it is always pointing out, like you were saying, like you're missing out an entire gap in the market here. Like it's always going to be about money, I think, for them, bottom line. So that also makes it easier because it feels less personal. So those are the areas that kind of tend to lean into.
Christina, did you take a similar approach when you're approaching? I know you said like the broadcasting houses and brands and things that you're working with. Are you taking a similar approach when reaching out to them if they've maybe done something a bit problematic in the past?
Yeah, I think we tend to like just kind of call out what they've done and just advise them that we are an agency that they can work with to change this. It's like we're not just telling you off. We're saying that we can work with you to change things. Yeah.
What advice would you give to creators who, like, maybe if there's anything above what these guys have said, who want to work with brands who, maybe have been called out in the past or have done something that's a bit off?
I just feel like if you think that brand aligns with you as a person or your purpose, then go for it. But if they've done something mad, if that still aligns with you, then I don't know, you just got to think about that. I just think about your purpose for everything. Like Vamp, we're based on representing the underrepresented. That is our purpose above everything. When we talk to brands, it's not just about like what they've done. It's like, actually it is about what they've done, but also it's about advising them on how to work with people who they don't normally work with. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's just important to don't reach out to them just because you've seen your other favourite influencer working with them and you think they got paid a lot of money. Try and work with them because, it aligns with you, But just like what Esther said, like just find them on LinkedIn.
It's just a whole lot of LinkedIn stalking right now.
Listen,
business in general, you're supposed to do things like
no,
that.
I think content creators, because it's social media and it's kind of informal in a way, they forget that there's still a business aspect of things, and you need to treat this like it's a business. Like you have to remember that, and whatever you need to do to get it, you need to go get it. Whether it's on LinkedIn or it's on Facebook. Like you have to like.
No, 100%. I think I want to end on like a positive note. We've been speaking a lot about cancelling and outrage and all of that kind of stuff. But to end on a positive note, as Jay was saying, like this, I really hope this panel has given people some kind of tangible something to go away with, whether it be advice or knowledge or whatever, or maybe insight into, okay, cool, maybe I won't call that person out and be me next time. Hopefully, I don't know. But I'm not sure what this audience is going to be, whether it's going to be kind of creators or if it's going to be consumers or what. I think it's probably going to be a mixture of the two. So what's your advice to creators? Actually, what's the best piece of advice you can give to creators, whatever it may be? It's an open question.
I think I'd start by just saying be authentically yourself. Don't try and go into another lane just because that's working for someone else. Because I genuinely just being yourself in general will take you far. You don't want to be like everybody else because you're not going to be unique. You're not going to stand out. And that's what you want to do as a content creator. You want to stand out. Just be unique to yourself and be consistent. Also.
100%. Esther?
Yeah, I agree with Christina. Be yourself, be consistent, and like just whatever you do it to the best of your ability. And don't ever, I think there's always room to learn all the time. My Final Cut Pro has been bugging for the past 4 days. Me and Final Cut Pro are supposed to be best friends, innit? But the amount of forums and articles and manuals I've gone back to read is because I want to better my craft every single time. So always be prepared to better yourself and do things to the best of your ability. Don't be afraid to collaborate, whether it's photographers, other content creators. be open to working with other people, or even just having discussions with other content creators, because you never know what kind of advice that that could be of use to you. And yeah, always reach out. I think that's one thing I always say as well. Always reach out. Like, pride is nothing when you're earning money. I'm sorry. Like, we all need to live, we all need to eat. Some of us got children. So like, just don't be afraid to reach out. Just go for it. What can you lose? They can only say no, and if they say no, you move on. It's as simple as that. So,
and to be fair, the people that you're reaching out to probably have to reach out to someone in some form anyway. So I think when you're working in marketing specifically, you're constantly having to reach out to people. So I think in terms of what you're saying about pride, I think it's just coming to that realization that actually, you can reach out to people and ask for stuff, because
everyone's doing that.
Within marketing, everyone's asking, and to be fair, within business, like everyone's asking everyone for something sooner or later. So,
and just like what you said as well, try and build relationships. I've found that that's so important. Like, take it off of social media, or if you can, take it away from emails, and like build a rapport and actually like post-COVID. Obviously, no, post-COVID. And it doesn't even necessarily mean like meeting up. It doesn't mean meeting up. It could just even be like WhatsApp or a phone call, or if they've mentioned it's their birthday, just like drop something nice. Like, not physically drop, but maybe a moon pig or something. But it's important. I feel in this industry especially, I think it's really important to be like personal with people. It takes you far.
I think what you're saying about being more personal, hope that would actually probably alleviate some of the bullying and stuff like that online, just because then people understand it's all everyone's people. Your job, like content creator, is a job. 100%. Jay?
I think they've pretty much captured it, but I would say seek the opportunity and strategize on it. Like we were saying, the whole thing about cancel culture, there's an opportunity also there for you to educate and get paid to educate, or get paid to create an idea, or get paid to do something else. So seek the opportunity and strategize on it.
Yeah, actually, lean into your why. Like, why are you doing this? I think that's the thing I find. If I always get steered off course, like again, like there's a brand that I want to work with that may have been cancelled, or has done something problematic, and have reached out to me, and I'm like, do I work with them or do I not? Just like I'm just leaning into why am I doing that? Why do I feel like I should have to work with them? Do I actually want to? So just kind of remember what your purpose is and everything that you're doing in your online space, whether you are a content creator, an influencer, or you have a small business or whatever that is. I find that going back to that is always helpful. Write it down as well, in case.
Yeah. I really like that. Lean into your why. I like it. Final one. What needs to be cancelled before 2021? I'm gonna say drivers that don't indicate need to be cancelled. They need to be arrested. They need to be cancelled. That is who I'm cancelling before 2021.
Let me think hard about this. It's actually very interesting.
Take a second while I rant about drivers who do not.
Emails asking to pick your brain.
Oh god, yes. Let's cancel that one. Yep, they're getting cancelled. Yep, cancelled. Done. Out.
I'm so
lockdown. Of any kind.
Someone call Boris.
It's gotta go.
I've had enough of that. In the same way as that, just DMs of people asking me if I've seen something. Yes, I've seen it.
Yes.
The chances are I've seen it. You don't need to send it to me.
Like what? Like memes or?
No,
like stuff to be outraged about, right?
Stuff to be outraged about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, not even fun memes.
Or like things like it was like the other day it was like someone was like, thought you might like this. And it was like an article about like hair discrimination, and I was like, are you okay? Are you actually all right? I was like, why? First of all, why would you not think I already knew about this? Secondly, like, why do you feel like you need to send it to me? It's so weird.
Right, cancel.
Yeah.
They're out.
I think maybe mine would be like, cancel the thought that just because someone presents a fun life online doesn't mean that that's the reality. I think that's very important.
Ooh, mine's feeling a lot less deep.
Yeah.
I've been in a lot of driving recently, it's stressing me. Yeah, no, 100%.
I just haven't been here enough to be vexed at London.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Tomorrow, I will be.
Exactly. You'll get right into it. This is why we'll force you into it.
Yeah, no, I really like that one.
But yeah, I think that's very, very important because, yeah.
Understanding there's something behind the images that you're
just
seeing.
10 seconds that you're seeing on the stories or
Yes.
doesn't mean that the person didn't have like a terrible day. They're being paid to do a post on stories, but do you think they're having a good day?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, cancelled.
And cancel policing people's COVID actions as well. Maybe don't keep that in, but like... I'm just so tired of people complaining about, like, seeing everyone complaining about anything to do with...
Oh, like how people are acting.
How people are acting, what they should and shouldn't be doing, masks, traveling, the whole thing. I'm just like, let's just leave each other alone.
Yeah, everyone mind your business, basically.
Mind your business.
No, yeah. Talk about mind your business. You don't have to see my boyfriend online. And no, it's not by force. Yes, I like to
Let them know.
mind your business. There are loads of things about me you probably haven't seen, don't know, I haven't shared.
Yeah.
Why are you not asking about that? You don't need to see my boyfriend.
Yeah, it's not that
your
interesting.
brother, it's not your
Yeah.
dad. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Relax.
So cancel people asking about to see more than the back of your boyfriend's head.
Just cancel people that are expecting to see
more.
like glorious relationships.
Yeah,
Like, and cancel relationship goals because it doesn't exist. It does not
In
exist.
2020, I've learned a lot.
It does not exist. I could be smiling in this clip. We could have just had a big old argument, but I'd still be smiling in the clip.
Yeah.
So, gosh, yeah.
A lot of stuff to be cancelled.
Yeah.
I feel like they were all good cancelable things.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you, everyone. I've really, really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope everyone that is watching has gained loads from it. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.